Lost Spring. Extract-based questions.
Lost Spring. By Unease Young.
Extract 1. Saheb left his home long ago. Set amidst the green fields of Dhaka, his home is not even a distant memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes, his mother tells him. Question 1. Why did Saheb's family leave Dhaka? Answer: natural calamities destroyed their fields and homes. Question 2. What does the phrase "not even a distant memory" suggest? Answer: Saheb left at a very young age, forgetting his homeland. Question 3. How does this extract highlight the impact of displacement? Answer: it shows loss of identity and roots due to forced migration. Question 4. What role does Saheb's mother play in preserving their past? Answer: she recounts their history, keeping memories alive. Question 5. How does the author portray the theme of loss? Answer: through Saheb's forgotten homeland and disrupted childhood. Question 6. Evaluate the effectiveness of this extract in setting the narrative tone. Answer: it establishes a melancholic tone, emphasizing loss and displacement. Extract 2. Garbage to them is gold. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads, even if it is a leaking roof. Question 1. Why is garbage considered gold by the ragpickers? Answer: it provides their livelihood and sustenance. Question 2. What does this leaking roof symbolize? Answer: their poor living conditions and fragile shelter. Question 3. How does this extract reflect the irony in their lives? Answer: they find value in waste, highlighting their poverty. Question 4. What societal issue is underscored here? Answer: the stark economic disparity and neglect of the underprivileged. Question 5. How does the author use metaphor in this extract? Answer: comparing garbage to gold emphasizes their dire circumstances. Question 6. Evaluate the impact of this extract on the reader's perception. Answer: it evokes empathy and awareness of marginalized communities. Extract 3. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10-rupee note. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging. Question 1. What motivates Saheb to continue rag-picking? Answer: the hope of finding something valuable. Question 2. How does this reflect the theme of hope amidst despair? Answer: small discoveries keep their spirits alive despite hardships. Question 3. What does that silver coin metaphorically represent? Answer: rare rewards that sustain their arduous labor. Question 4. How does this extract portray the children's perspective? Answer: they find joy and excitement in small gains. Question 5. What underlying message does the author convey here? Answer: the resilience and optimism of impoverished children. Question 6. Evaluate the effectiveness of this extract in highlighting child labor issues. Answer: it subtly exposes the harsh realities faced by working children. Extract 4. Saheb is no longer his own master. His face has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. Question 1. What change has occurred in Saheb's life? Answer: he started working at a tea stall, losing his freedom. Question 2. How does the steel canister contrast with the plastic bag? Answer: it symbolizes the burden of responsibility over carefree childhood. Question 3. What does the loss of the carefree look indicate? Answer: the end of his innocence and onset of laborious life. Question 4. How does this extract depict the cost of employment for children? Answer: employment brings loss of freedom and increased hardship. Question 5. What theme is central to this extract? Answer: the loss of childhood due to economic necessity. Question 6. Evaluate the author's use of imagery in this extract. Answer: vivid imagery highlights the stark transformation in Saheb's life. Extract 5. They have yet to learn to dream. Unlike the other children of their age, they have no aspirations beyond finding a coin or two in the garbage. Question 1. Why can't these children dream like others their age? Answer: poverty limits their aspirations to immediate survival. Question 2. What does this extract suggest about the impact of poverty on ambition? Answer: it stifles dreams and confines thoughts to basic needs. Question 3. How does the author contrast these children with others? Answer: by highlighting their lack of dreams compared to their peers. Question 4. What is the significance of finding a coin or two? Answer: it represents their limited goals and daily struggles. Question 5. How does this reflect on societal inequality? Answer: it shows how poverty deprives children of future prospects. Question 6. Evaluate the emotional tone of this extract. Answer: it evokes sympathy and a sense of injustice. Extract 6. I want to drive a car, says Mukesh, looking straight into my eyes. His dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of the streets that fill his town, Firozad, famous for bangles. Question 1. What does Mukesh's dream reveal about him? Answer: he aspires to break free from traditional constraints. Question 2. What does the mirage suggest in this context? Answer: his dream seems distant and possibly unattainable. Question 3. How does the setting contrast with his ambition? Answer: a dusty, grim environment contrasts with his dream of mobility. Question 4. What does the phrase "looking straight into my eyes" convey? Answer: Mukesh's confidence and determination. Question 5. How is irony used in this extract? Answer: a boy from a Bengal town dreams of driving, a sharp contrast. Question 6. Evaluate the symbolism of the car in this context. Answer: it represents freedom, ambition, and escape from inherited poverty. Extract 7. Every other family in Firozad is engaged in making bangles, it seems. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple. Question 1. What does this extract convey about Firozad? Answer: it's a hub of bangle making, deeply entrenched in family tradition. Question 2. Why are colors listed in this manner? Answer: to reflect the vibrancy of the product amid dull lives. Question 3. What is the irony in this colorful description? Answer: the colorful bangles contrast with the worker's bleak existence. Question 4. How does the repetition emphasize the situation? Answer: it shows the monotony and generational trap of the trade. Question 5. What deeper theme does the extract reflect? Answer: entrapment in traditional occupations without change. Question 6. Evaluate the use of sensory imagery here. Answer: vivid colors highlight irony and evoke visual richness amidst poverty. Extract 8. It is his karma, his destiny, to work like his father. To do anything else would mean to dare. Question 1. What belief system is reflected in this extract? Answer: fatalism and unquestioning acceptance of inherited roles. Question 2. How does the word dare function here? Answer: suggests that change is risky and discouraged. Question 3. What is the author criticizing through this line? Answer: the oppressive social norms that limit ambition. Question 4. How does this affect the youth in Firozad? Answer: it kills dreams and forces them into conformity. Question 5. What tone does the extract carry? Answer: resigned and critical. Question 6. Evaluate the role of tradition in shaping identity here. Answer: tradition becomes a burden, denying individuality and change. Extract 9. They sit in dark hutments next to flickering oil lamps, welding pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. Question 1. What is the working environment described here? Answer: poorly lit, hazardous, and unhealthy. Question 2. How does this reflect on child labor? Answer: children work in unsafe, exploitative conditions. Question 3. What does flickering oil lamps symbolize? Answer: weak hope and fragile survival. Question 4. What contrast is drawn here? Answer: bright bangles made in dark, bleak surroundings. Question 5. What deeper problem does the author highlight? Answer: neglect and exploitation of poor artisans. Question 6. Evaluate the effect of visual imagery here. Answer: it creates a stark, disturbing picture of silent suffering. Extract 10. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative and the ability to dream. Question 1. What does mind-numbing toil imply? Answer: repetitive, exhausting labor with no intellectual growth. Question 2. How does this affect individuals mentally? Answer: they become passive and lose ambition. Question 3. What does the author mourn in this line? Answer: loss of creativity and hope. Question 4. What long-term societal issue does this address? Answer: generational poverty and lack of education. Question 5. How is tone used here? Answer: critical and sorrowful. Question 6. Evaluate the consequences of such labor on identity. Answer: it erases personal dreams and perpetuates cycles of hardship. Extract 11. In the long line of bangles, one can see boys and girls with eyes more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. Question 1. What does this suggest about their environment? Answer: they are conditioned to darkness due to constant indoor work. Question 2. How does this imagery reflect their reality? Answer: it symbolizes their limited vision and opportunities. Question 3. What social message is conveyed? Answer: neglect of child rights and proper development. Question 4. What is the symbolic meaning of flight? Answer: freedom, education, and opportunity. Question 5. What is the tone of the statement? Answer: somber and reflective. Question 6. Evaluate the use of contrast in this line. Answer: highlights deprivation by opposing light and dark symbolically. Extract 12. I see two distinct worlds, one of the family, caught in a web of poverty, the other, a vicious circle of the sahukas, the middlemen. Question 1. What are the two worlds described? Answer: the poor workers and the exploitative economic system. Question 2. How does this expose systemic injustice? Answer: it shows how the poor are trapped by financial manipulators. Question 3. What role do the sahukas play? Answer: they exploit artisans through debt and unfair practices. Question 4. How does this relate to the theme of power imbalance? Answer: the rich dominate while the poor remain helpless. Question 5. What literary device is used in a web of poverty? Answer: metaphor to show entrapment. Question 6. Evaluate the impact of this economic divide. Answer: it sustains inequality and hinders progress. Extract 13. They talk endlessly in a spiral that moves from poverty to apathy to greed and to injustice. Question 1. What does that spiral represent? Answer: a continuous, worsening cycle of social problems. Question 2. How does this spiral affect the poor? Answer: it keeps them trapped in misery and powerlessness. Question 3. What tone does the author use here? Answer: critical and analytical. Question 4. What is the implied criticism of society? Answer: indifference towards the suffering of the underprivileged. Question 5. How is apathy connected to injustice here? Answer: ignoring problems allows injustice to persist. Question 6. Evaluate the structure of the spiral metaphor. Answer: it effectively shows cyclical social degradation. Extract 14. But promises like mine abound in every corner of their bleak world. Question 1. What does this line suggest about promises made to the poor? Answer: they are often empty and unfulfilled. Question 2. Why does the author mention promises like mine? Answer: to acknowledge her own limitations in changing their lives. Question 3. What does bleak world imply? Answer: a life filled with hopelessness and struggle. Question 4. What is the tone of this statement? Answer: honest and self-aware. Question 5. What is the author's intention here? Answer: to highlight the gap between empathy and action. Question 6. Evaluate the role of this extract in the overall narrative. Answer: it adds realism and humility to the author's perspective. Extract 15. The cry of not having enough to do is not unfamiliar to most of us. But for these children, it is the luxury they will never know. Question 1. What contrast does the author draw here? Answer: between privileged idleness and the poor's constant toil. Question 2. How is the phrase luxury they will never know significant? Answer: it highlights the injustice of child labor. Question 3. What does this line reveal about societal privilege? Answer: many complain of boredom while others never rest. Question 4. What emotion does this extract evoke? Answer: guilt and empathy in the reader. Question 5. What theme is reinforced through this contrast? Answer: inequality and deprivation. Question 6. Evaluate the effectiveness of this comparison. Answer: it starkly reveals the overlooked privileges of the middle class. Thank you. Prepared by K. Rajendra Prasad.